Gold prices are surging and oil is tumbling. I'm Joe Doe for The Street at the NYMEX. Gold prices are surging on Thursday morning as the dollar has plummeted more than 1%, meaning that dollar-denominated gold is seen as cheap by traders here on the floor. The prices had dropped below $1,300 an ounce, of course, during the shutdown of the government and the debt ceiling debates, and a number of traders said, let's crowd the space and start buying up the bid. So we're seeing it now around $1,315. Of course, we also look over to oil. Oil is tumbling right now. If you had been with our show yesterday, you would have heard Alan Harry, he's a trader here on the floor, say that he would have expected the news to give some sort of tumble. That's exactly what we saw. But we also realize that right now, oil crude is trading kind of seasonally, lower demand in the later fall months. I spoke earlier to Harry Dent. He is the editor of Survive and Prosper, about what he is expecting out of gold at the fourth quarter going into 2014. Here's what he had to tell me.
I see another rally in gold, but at the same time, I think gold's been mortally wounded. Indians curtailed their buying in last year, and then now, and this year, you've got this fall in inflation just when stimulus accelerated more than ever in the U.S., QE3+, and in Japan, inflation rates started falling. So gold, I think the gold market's finally got what we've been saying for a long time. We're in a deflationary environment and crisis, and we're not going to get high inflation from endless money printing. So I think gold's been mortally wounded, but it is due for a rally, I think, back up to the recent highs, 1420 or so, maybe even as high as 1520. But I think gold has peaked at 1934, and I think it's headed down to 700 to 750 in the next few years.
So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people I talk to, they keep saying, they keep trying to insert, okay, there is inflation, there's inflation. Others, including the Federal Reserve, say, there's very little inflation. You actually think there is a deflation in the system?
Well, there's deflation because we've had a debt crisis. Governments are inflating to offset that deflation. So deflation is the trend. And I mean, these gold bugs have just got to get off it. I mean, we've had the unprecedented stimulus of all times around the world, and all we have is zero inflation in Japan, 0 to 1 in Europe, and 1% to 2% in the United States. I mean, any other time in history, we would have had massive inflation. So inflation is not the trend. Gold is an inflation hedge, as it was beautifully in the 1970s. Gold is headed down when people realize that deflation is where we're headed. And I think gold got that earlier this year. It finally just dropped out of that trading range and realized, oh my gosh, we're not going to get inflation, or at least not substantial.
Yeah. Well, Harry, thanks so much for your take on this. We hope to have you back.
Sure.
That was Harry Dent of Survive and Prosper. He, along with many of the major banks, have been lowering their price forecast for gold. But for today, we're seeing a surge. For The Street at the NYMEX, I'm Joe Doe.